Your dog's bowl is full. The food is right there. But she doesn't touch it. She looks at you first. Not for a second. For a long moment. Most owners think this is about food. It's not. What she's actually doing has almost nothing to do with her stomach. And once you understand it, you'll never look at that pause the same way again. Stick around, because the real reason involves something scientists only figured out in the last 20 years. And by the end, you'll know exactly what it means if your dog does this a lot, or barely does it at all. Picture this. You fill the bowl. You put it down. Your dog walks over. Sniffs it. Then looks up at you. She waits. Most owners assume she's checking if there's more food coming. Or waiting for a treat on top. Some think she's just being polite. But behavior researchers have spent years studying this exact pause. And what they found is stranger, and more touching, than most people expect. Your dog isn't reading the bowl. She's reading you. Here's the shift in thinking. Dogs don't just react to food. They react to uncertainty. A new environment, a slightly different bowl position, a change in your tone, all of that counts as uncertainty to a dog. So quick question. What do you do when something feels off, but you're not sure why? You probably look at someone you trust for a read on the room. Turns out, your dog does the exact same thing. When dogs face something unclear, they don't always work it out alone. They check with someone they trust first. Scientists call this social referencing. It's the same thing a toddler does when something unfamiliar shows up in the room. The toddler doesn't stare at the object, they look at a parent's face first. Calm face, they relax. Worried face, they pull back. Researchers ran a study where dogs were placed in front of something ambiguous, like an unfamiliar moving object. The dogs didn't just stare at it. They glanced at the object, then glanced at their owner, then back again. That back and forth has a name too. It's called referential looking. It's not confusion. It's information gathering. Your dog isn't asking, "Can I eat this?" She's asking, "Is everything okay right now?" Here's where it gets genuinely surprising. Scientists compared this behavior in dogs against hand-raised wolves. Both animals were given a task involving food. Then researchers made the task impossible to solve. The wolves kept trying. Over and over. Almost never checking in with the human in the room. The dogs did something completely different. Within seconds, most of them gave up on the task and looked straight at the person. Not out of laziness. Researchers suggest dogs may be less pulled toward solving the problem alone, and more pulled toward using the human as a source of answers. That single difference is considered one of the clearest behavioral gaps between dogs and their wild ancestors. Wolves solve it. Dogs ask. So when your dog pauses before her own dinner and looks at you, she's doing the exact same thing that separated dogs from wolves thousands of years ago. She's using you as her reference point. Not because she's confused about food. Because checking with you is, for a dog, simply how the world gets confirmed as safe. Now here's the part that makes this even more personal. That gaze isn't just informational. It's chemical. Researchers measured hormone levels in dogs and owners after periods of eye contact. Both the dog and the human showed a rise in oxytocin, the same hormone connected to bonding between a parent and a newborn. So when your dog holds that look before eating, something physical is happening in both of you. It's not neutral. It's connection. Some researchers describe it as a loop. The longer the gaze, the bigger the oxytocin rise. The bigger the rise, the more connected both of you feel. That's worth sitting with for a second. A pause before a meal, something most owners barely notice, may be quietly reinforcing the bond between you and your dog every single day. Before this turns into a fairy tale, let's be fair to the science. Not every stare is a deep emotional moment. Sometimes it's simple learned behavior, if you've trained a wait or stay command, smart breeds like Border Collies or German Shepherds are just following that rule, not checking in emotionally. Sometimes it's just a change in routine, a different bowl position or feeding time, that causes a small pause. So the honest answer is layered. Social referencing, a learned habit, or both at once. Here's something most videos on this topic never mention, and it matters if you actually care about your dog's emotional well-being, not just the cute factor. This check-in behavior sits on a spectrum. And both ends of that spectrum can be worth watching. A quick, relaxed glance before eating is totally normal. That's healthy referencing, a nod, not a red flag. But some dogs take it further. They won't eat at all unless you're in the room. They pace, whine, or abandon the bowl the moment you step away. That's not a cute check-in anymore, that's a dog who has learned she cannot feel safe without you physically present. In many cases, that pattern overlaps with early signs of separation-related anxiety. On the flip side, a dog who never checks in at all, who eats in a rush without ever glancing up, isn't automatically more independent or confident either. Sometimes that's a dog who never learned that a human could be a safe reference point in the first place. So the real question isn't does my dog stare at me? It's does she check in, relax, and eat, or does the checking in replace the eating entirely? One is bonding. The other is a dog silently telling you she's struggling. Here's where owners often get it wrong. Many assume a staring dog needs extra attention or treats before mealtime, but that only teaches her that staring gets a bigger reaction than simply eating, so she holds out longer. In more sensitive dogs, that can quietly feed into the clingier, anxious pattern we just talked about. The fix is simple. Keep feeding time calm and predictable, let the check-in happen, then let her eat without turning it into a performance. So let's come back to the original question. Why does your dog watch you before she eats? It's not because she doubts there's food in the bowl. It's not because she's manipulating you. In most cases, it's because dogs are wired to treat their owner as a stable point of reference in an uncertain world. Food is physical. Trust is emotional. Before she commits to the physical act of eating, she's confirming the emotional signal first. Calm owner. Calm room. Familiar pattern. All clear. That's the message she's looking for. And when she finds it, she eats without hesitation. This is where it gets meaningful. If your dog checks in with you before meals, briefly, then eats normally, it's generally a sign of security, not anxiety. It usually means she sees you as a stable, trustworthy presence in her environment. But if that check-in turns into refusal to eat alone, pacing, or distress the moment you leave the room, that's worth paying attention to, not ignoring as just a quirky habit. That's your dog asking for more consistency, not more drama. If you want to support real security, feed at similar times each day, keep the bowl in the same spot, avoid sudden movement or loud noise nearby, and practice short, calm departures so she learns being alone briefly is safe too. Small, boring consistency is exactly what builds the kind of security your dog is checking for. So next time your dog pauses before eating and looks up at you, you'll know what's actually happening. It's not hesitation about the food. It's a small, quiet confirmation that her world still makes sense, and that you're still the person she trusts to tell her so. That brief look is one of the simplest forms of connection dogs are capable of showing us. And now you understand it. If this changed the way you see your dog, you'll probably want to know what's really going on the next time she tilts her head at you, or leans her full body weight against your leg for no reason. Both of those have their own science behind them too. Quick one before you go, comment yes if your dog does this glance before every single meal, or no if it's only sometimes. I'm actually reading every comment on this one, so let me know. Subscribe if you want the next one.